We'll start doing the presentation. Scott, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure.
Before we get into the presentation.
Sure.
And you're hiding pieces of it right now, right? Because I see.
I am, and I'm going to open it up as we go.
Okay.
If that works for everybody. So, hi everybody. I'm Scott Sampson. I'm a Scrum Master here in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area for a fintech. Been in IT for about over 12 years. Have known Greg for a number of years and have worked with him as him being my mentor, and I'm also part of his mastermind group. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad to be here. Glad Greg has invited me to speak, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say and learning from you guys on the call.
And on that note, Scott, just want to add to one of the things about this 5 a.m. Mester Scrum meetup is I wanted to provide an opportunity for people that want to practice anything they want to present at other things, and give an opportunity for people that may not, because when you do the Agile Alliance or the big time shows, it's hard getting through the cut and the opportunities. So one of the things I offer to my people I have mentored and coached in the past, and anyone on this meetup group that is a member, is to send me a note if you want to present a topic or practice something out there in the social media world and with the meetup group with Zoom or whatever. Please feel free to let me know, and we'll get you rocking and rolling over here. So that would be the idea. So and Scott is more than willing to volunteer, so it's good. I appreciate Scott and sharing, so everyone can get an idea how this might work and everything. With that, thanks, Scott.
All right.
And
should we dive in? Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. So thank you everybody for attending the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream. The learning objectives, as you can see here for the presentation today, is who actually is included in that Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream. So we'll identify those folks. We'll talk about how you can approach those folks to build a relationship with them and what you can talk to them about that provides value for both parties. And that was kind of my third bullet. I stole my own show here, but yeah, we'll talk about the benefits of establishing relationships with the SMRVS, as I'm calling them.
You call them Smurfs?
Very close. Just a few letter change there with the acronym. So feel free to ask questions as we go through at any time. I am glad to answer questions as we go, or at the end, either way, whatever is comfortable for the group. And we'll go ahead and get started. So moving to the first slide. So let me uncover this. So I thought I would introduce what a value stream actually is. The presentation today is called the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream. So I thought I would level set with what just an actual regular value stream is. And according to Wikipedia, as you can see, and this is a very simplified value stream, it's basically a bunch of steps or actions that take place from customer request to customer fulfillment and product going to the customer, and everything in between. So you see on my diagram here, Department A processing after the customer request is received, then it goes to Department B processing, and then shipped to the customer to fulfill that request. Again, this is a very simplified version, but I thought I would share that with the group to kind of level set as to what a value stream is, and it is those steps that create value for the customer. All right, so let's jump right into it. So I'm not sure what everyone's, what the titles are with the group, or if people are Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, involved in Agile in some way. But I have a couple of questions here for the group. So in the daily Scrum, right, the developers share their updates. I know that's a maybe a bad word in the Agile world. So I put my exclamation point there. So they share their updates or progress towards their sprint goal, or they answer the 3 questions, or they do whatever they do in your particular circumstance. So insert your team's approach here. And the questions I have for the group is it enough to make sure that the developers are happy, have no impediments, are on track with their work to provide a great product or service for the customer? And, won't we put out the best, products for our customers if we're just focusing on the developers' needs? Aren't they the core? Shouldn't we be focused on them? And if not, who else should we be focused on to make sure there's communication and collaboration and great products are being provided to the customer? So I asked that question of the folks here. I have my yes or no here. I'll let you kind of think about that, and we'll move on. All right. So the first.
Can you see how many people you got on the?
Let me see.
Mural?
I don't know if. Let me do this real quick. I don't know if anyone's in Mural at this point. I don't see any.
I am on Mural, Mariama, but for some reason, I don't see the board.
What are you Mariama, when you go in, what are you seeing?
Let's see. Let me just go. It's just a blank. Wait, hold on. Actually, I take that back. I am there. I see you. Never mind. I'm right at the slide where you're asking to vote yes or no.
Okay. I see Mariama, and she's the visiting train.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm a Scrum Master, by the way.
Oh, great. Yeah. What are the roles out there as we get ready for this informal poll? Is anybody else a Scrum Master, other positions in the Agile sphere, Agile coaches? Shraddha, did you say something? All right. So
I'm an Agile coach and a Scrum Master.
Hey, Dave. Thank you for that. So yeah, and we can do this one of 2 ways for like these polls and different interactive things. If folks want to join the mural, awesome. That's in the, I believe Greg shared that in the chat. Otherwise, you could probably either do it verbally, yell out verbally where you stand, or and for some reason I can't see the chat, so maybe.
Yeah,
Greg,
I'll let you know if I see it in the chat. I'll
okay.
Send it. I'm gonna make you host soon.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Greg. So I have an informal poll, and by show of emoji, the thumbs, right? Thumbs up or thumb down. Who regularly speaks to anyone outside of the developers, outside of like the Scrum or just in passing in the hall? Obviously, Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we're in Scrum with them together, but how many folks actually speak with anybody else besides the developers? And if so, who would those folks be? So if you want to click on thumbs up, thumb down. Let me see here if I can actually activate this. Hold on 1 second. Got to set this up. See if it works. It's all an experiment. Hold on 1 second.
Could you share the link again in the chat, the mural link?
Yeah, I can
Sure.
do that.
Let me see if I can get it right this time so everybody can participate. Any member. All right. Let's see if
You might have to send it to me. Send it
Okay.
to me. I'm just gonna go ahead and make you admin, Scott.
Okay.
Or host.
That's fine. Yeah, it
that
doesn't
way,
seem.
That way you see everything. So now you should see. Yep.
I'm seeing other folks in there
you
now.
You are now in control.
All right.
So you're gonna have to post the link.
I'll post the link. Okay.
Post it and post it to everyone.
Let me see if I can find the chat. Give me 1 second. There we go. Just kind of appeared out of nowhere at the top. Everyone in the meeting. Okay. So folks, I just posted the mural link. You can access that, and I think you need to become a member of the my workspace, and then you can get in like the other folks are, Mariana and others. Sorry, Mariama and others. We have a visiting map, visiting camera. Let me see if I have to do this. All right, I have this highlighted. Voting. Start voting session. Any member. Selected section. Let's see if this works this time. If not, yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working. So let's see. There are no votable elements. I'm gonna try one more time and then we'll move on for the sake of time. Any member? I'm gonna do entire canvas. All right, so, okay, I got it. You're the only one voting. So anybody that's in the mural, can you actually go to the thumbs and click on it for your vote? Does that work for everybody? If not, we'll just collect it a different way.
I did click mine and I
Okay.
hit done. So it became darker.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you see the result or not.
Let me see here. I'm not seeing the results, so that's okay. I'm going to end the voting session. And so let's just talk about it. So who out there does or doesn't speak with anybody besides the developers? Does anybody chat with other folks on the development team, or is it just the developers specifically? Does anybody want to share any thoughts on that?
I work with everybody, product owners, product managers, RTEs. I spend a lot of time with managers all the way up to the C-suite that are concerned with agile transformations, talking about metrics and actually just about everything about metrics. So,
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Anyone else before we move on?
I usually, as a part of my role, I connect with our business operations often, and then of course, product managers.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving along then. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so let me move this down a little bit. So it sounds like some of the folks on the meetup are speaking with others outside of just the developers on the team, which is great. And one of the points I was making here with this slide is, hey, if you're only speaking to one part of the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream, the SMRVS, you might be missing out on opportunities to collaborate and develop, great products, great teammates yourself. And I have the arrow here. You are here, just speaking with the development folks, and maybe not some other folks here in the SMRVS. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so another participation item. I just put a number of different departments, different roles on this slide. So again, let me see if I can set up a voting. Maybe make it work this time. Let's experiment. All right. And I used to be able to do the selected sections. Let me try that again. Okay, let me do this. One vote per person. Still says I'm the only one voting, so okay. For some reason that's not working right. So what does
Try voting the whole thing or something?
Yeah, I'll try it one more time and see. I did test this and it was working previously.
Oh, who can? Okay, I'm voting. Okay, you're good.
I put any member and then it's all these things, and then
Yep.
let's do entire canvas this time. Huh. All right. It still says I'm the only one voting. Can anybody else cast a vote? Maybe it's just saying that to me, but is anybody else?
I think it might be because we don't have edit access. So we have something, I have something at the top of the screen saying view only. And then I have another question saying, ask for edit access. So I did that, but
Okay.
I still have view only.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me look at something real quick. All right, I just made Michelle a member. So Michelle, you should be able to
Vote. So how do I vote?
You should be able to go into the mural now and vote. So what you would do was click on, so the question is, who do you think you should talk to in the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream? I put a bunch of different departments and groups on here. These may or may not be part of the value stream, the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream, but I wanted to get the group's thoughts as to who you might think of speaking to outside of the development group. And Michelle, you're the only one that I saw that came through.
It still says view only, but I'm refreshing.
Okay, yeah, that might help.
Oh, now I have to go in again.
I just approve you for edit access, Michelle.
Okay, can you approve me as well, please?
I didn't see a request come through from you.
Okay.
Mariama, can you, if you see that, can you request it, and then, and anybody else, and I can add you as well. If you access the mural link and just request access, I can approve it here.
Okay.
On
And you
my
may have
device.
to double check that you're not looking at the Zoom screen, because that could be deceptive too. Like you thinking you're in mural, but you're actually looking at the Zoom screen.
Hi, this is Moma. I too just see the view only. I was able to go in, but I only see the view.
Okay. Did you? And Michelle has requested access. All right, Michelle, I approved you again.
Looks like you've got a couple people now on there now, so that's good.
Yeah, Mariama, I don't see. They can get in here, but they may not be able to interact with the voting.
Yeah, exactly.
So why don't we do this? Does anybody have any thoughts about who you think you should talk to before we move on? And then we'll introduce the SMRVs to the group and topics.
You can verbal or chat it either way.
Yeah.
I think as many of that you've listed on the slide as possible to have a holistic view
Okay. Anybody else? I like that holistic view part. All right, we will move on then. So let's talk about the SMRVS. So somebody mentioned earlier, I think it was Dave, that they talked to product. So product would be part of the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream. And I broke it down by position in a department such as product and what you can actually approach them to talk to them about that would add value for both you, them, and the team. So I think it might have been mentioned earlier, but obviously you can talk to them about their planning. So, you know, they're thinking, the product managers at the high strategic level, so they're thinking about the sprint, quarter, and year and what they want to deliver, given the client and the company's feedback about what they want to do. They're thinking about the product roadmap, some other high level things like the vision for the product, any enhancement and improvements. They might even be reaching out about and trying to implement, you know, user feedback regarding points of pain. You see bug or defect tickets come in, user needs and client insights. So things that the users want and, you know, things that the client might be thinking about ahead of time down the road. They're also most likely working with the product owner regarding, you know, prioritization of features, enhancements, and you could talk to them about how do they prioritize? Do they use, you know, the typical highest high, medium, low, lowest, or, you know, some other thing? And is it driven by client or the business or both? You can also talk to them about communications, like how do they, you know, how often do they meet with the CEO? How often do they meet with the executive team? What are those interactions like? What are the takeaways? How can you help with those takeaways as a Scrum Master or other Agile professional? Do they talk to the development team? How often are they present for that team if need be? And of course, customers. And we kind of touched on that above. And then finally, collaboration. Again, how are they working with the dev team to help the dev team be successful? Are they communicating clearly about the goals for the product so that the dev team can work on those? Effectively, prioritization comes into play. And are they also talking to marketing, sales, and customer support? You know, folks that you may not initially think about the product manager to be talking to, but, you know, marketing, sales, and customer support are all going to be they're all touch points for the client in some fashion. So it might be good to see if if the product manager is having some sort of regular communication with those groups to make sure that their vision for the sprint, quarter, and year is still valid and up to date, given feedback from those groups. Any questions there? Okay. All right. Continuing with the product team as part of the SMRVS. Of course, you may want to talk to the product owner. You might have, as a Scrum Master, you might have a really close relationship or want to develop a closer relationship with the product owner. You know, this person is going to be kind of more on the ground with you, you know, involved with, you know, like I have here, backlog management, going through that on a regular basis and figuring out the timing and prioritization for what the client wants, what the company can actually deliver, et cetera. They're going to be writing user stories or something similar, or helping write those with the dev team or the product manager and product analyst. Sprint planning, obviously they'll be involved with that. Teeing up those, you know, the tickets and the work for the next sprint, covering that with the team. How do they do that? How do they determine tickets and the work for the next sprint? and are they actually thinking about sprint goals and trying to help them put those into place to make it clear for the team as to what they're trying to achieve for each sprint. Retrospectives, you can talk to them about that. What's their approach to that? Do they take that feedback from the development team in retrospectives or anybody else in there? And how do they utilize that feedback? Do they act upon it? That kind of thing. How do they look to solve and make the team's lives easier? And then, of course, product vision, once again, just like the product manager, they're going to be working closely with the product manager on that for the long-term goals of the product. And that's something that they could share with you as a Scrum Master to round out your expectations and experience in that regard for what's coming and how you can prepare the team and help them set the team up for success. Any questions on that? Okay. The other part of a product team would be the product analyst. This person is going to be really focused on, working with the client or customer, figuring out what their needs are and documenting them in some fashion. So in speaking with them and setting up time with them, you can actually talk about, hey, how often do they meet with the client? How are requirements gathered? Are they speaking with the client directly or through another medium in between? And do they do anything with that, analysis for future sprints and future product development? They might be doing user research. So you could ask them about, hey, what methods are they using for that? What's their approach? And then once they get that data from the user research, how do they apply that? Does that go into their requirements? Where does that go and how is it used? Data analysis, kind of self-explanatory. How is it collected and analyzed? I think that ties right in with the requirements. And then are they also speaking with other groups? Kind of like when I talked about the product manager, are they reaching out to and working closely with the product manager, the product owner, but also others, the dev team? Are they working closely with them for clarifying questions and sprint planning, or outside of sprint planning? They're working closely to make sure requirements are written clearly so the developers know what to do and there's no rework or minimal rework. And other stakeholders, just like with the product manager talking with marketing, sales, and customer service. Who are they reaching out to get that holistic picture for what the client wants and what the messages are to the clients and expectations? All right, so the next group in the Scrum Masters Relationship Value stream is quality assurance. And I have to say, when I saw this slide, I was like, this is perfect. With this guy sticking out here. So quality assurance, what can the Scrum Master talk to or discuss with quality assurance management, quality assurance director, et cetera? You can find out, what kind of quality metrics are they, collecting? And what success mean to them? Are they trying to, have certain test automation goals and try to automate a percentage of their testing versus manual testing? How is that going? And I just mentioned test automation here, implementation in the current level. You could talk to them about testing strategies. Are they doing, how much acceptance testing are they doing? Regression testing, other testing such as exploratory testing? And what's the percentage of each one of these things that they're doing for a release and post-release? Test environments, that sometimes can be a topic that test environments can be tricky sometimes. I'll just say that. So, talking to them about that experience. What are they using to test? How is it easy to test in that environment, or are there a lot of different groups and people in there and data, and it's tricky? That goes along with management and stability of the test environment, and perhaps how you can help them with getting their own environment would be something you could discuss with them. And then finally, defect management. So for defects, and I'll even include bugs in here, although they're not the same thing typically. How are they identifying those? Are they prioritizing them based on the product manager and product owner's feedback that some things have to be done immediately versus maybe a month from now? It's a little long, but and how are they resolving those, and how is that going? I'm sure those would be topics that would resonate with quality assurance management. Any questions from the group at all so far? I see somebody flying around in there. I like that. All right.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Mariama.
So with this suggestion, would that work best with if the company is using SAFe, or you just individually as a Scrum Master, like the sole Scrum Master within the organization?
I was coming at it from, just from the Scrum Master role, kind of agnostic of your approach, whether it's SAFe or other. Greg, you have a lot of experience with SAFe. Do you see anything that might lend itself more to a SAFe experience, a SAFe environment versus other?
As far as quality assurance?
Mariama, were you just talking about quality assurance?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
SAFe is nothing anything different per se, but there is more architectural discussion, like if you do in your PI planning, your quarterly planning, a lot of this items which should be brought up during that session too.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Mariama. And if anybody else has questions, feel free to ask at any time. All right, so quality assurance testers is another group you can speak with, right? Part of the quality area. These
And hey, Scott.
Yeah.
One of the things is when we do these, I think about the Scrum team, and the idea is that QA is part of the Scrum team too. So
yes,
it also may be you might think of it might be a separate integration test group sometimes with the larger deployments that might be out there also.
Awesome. Yeah, I like that, Greg. And that's the approach that I take, is all of these folks that we're speaking of are part of the team, if you will. But yeah, back to the quality assurance tester. So these folks are going to be on the ground, kind of like the Scrum Master and kind of like the product owner. And they're obviously very busy. There might be some testers in the crowd here, attending tonight, so you can attest to that. But plenty to talk to them about, regarding test planning, execution, again, defects. How is that coming back through? Is that, is that a separate ticket type in Jira? Like, how are they approaching that? What's the priority, etc. We talked about manual and automated testing previously, also exploratory testing. So are they doing these things, any of these, and how is that going? Where do they need help that you could assist with? Again, test coverage. How much is, manual versus automation, and how much of the product is being tested? That's an interesting way to put it. Is there a percentage of the product that's not tested? That percentage might scare a few people, depending on what it is. Yeah. Failed tests, defect tracking, and dev follow-up. So are they, when something fails, are they going back to the dev team and asking more questions, and is that a good, you know, cyclical relationship between both groups so they can get their questions answered?
Hey, Scott, double check to see if you don't have any more people signing on late. Maybe you have some other participants.
Let me see here. Where
Might
would
be
I
in the waiting room
see
towards the
them?
bottom usually.
In the waiting room. Let me look.
Might be on the bottom of your screen too. Like it'll say participants. Just click on that and
I'm
it
trying
should
to
show.
I'm trying to find my
That's right. You got an app. You get a map.
yeah, and it's I don't see where that is supposed to be. It's not popping up for me, but I'm trying to kind of
I'll double check.
okay.
Yeah, I don't have the ability because I gave you.
You gave me all the power, and I can't use it.
Okay, let me do one. No, if I do that, I'll unhook you. So I don't want to do that. Anyway, they're too late. Gotta get here early.
I was looking to see if I could find the bar real quick. Let me see. Give me a moment.
You probably have a bunch of monitors, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, they're all hiding everywhere.
Yeah, for some
You
reason
might
I
have
can't
to
see it,
escape
Greg.
full screen or something.
Let me do that.
I mean, you can stay in mural. You just gotta get out full screen for
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yep. Let me see if I can. All right. I'm hitting escape and nothing's happening, so I think I'm out.
That's okay. Just go back to what you're doing.
All right. Let's see. So, back to quality assurance here. Let me see. So, yep, we talked about the relationship between the testers and dev to make sure that's good relationship. And then feedback. Do they have feedback regarding the developer's work? So, you know, perhaps there's a quality issue where tickets are being moved along before they're really unit tested, or you know, other things. So I think it's always good to check in with the testers to see, you know, if they're seeing a pattern with maybe code quality. All right, moving on to DevOps. Let me ask this: does anybody work with it? Does anybody communicate regularly with the DevOps group in their company?
Well, I used to be a Scrum Master for a DevOps team.
Nice. That was Michelle. So,
Yeah.
okay. Oop, there we go. Marva wants to come in. I just got an alert.
Okay.
So maybe I'm getting alerts, Greg, when folks want to come in. I don't know.
Okay. She could
All right. So Michelle's going to keep me honest here. And but so I think the DevOps groups they're good groups to speak with as well. I've done work with DevOps groups regarding you know, release retrospectives, working agreements with DevOps groups, and it's such an interesting area to learn about. And sometimes people don't realize like they're the kind of the last stop on the train, if you will, for the release. So it's good to shine a light on them. So I included them here as part of the SMRVS, and the DevOps manager is up first. And Michelle, I invite any feedback you have on what you can talk to them about. But I have, you know, their process. So the whole DevOps process from planned, you know, plan, build, test, deploy, and monitor the software. They're responsible for all that stuff, and that's a lot. People don't realize, but that's a huge part of a company's functioning as far as software deployment. They're also responsible for infrastructure. So, you know, like I have listed here, servers, networks, the cloud, So a lot you could talk about there with different cloud products and what's happening. Automation, once again, they're another group that can really rely on automation to make their lives easier. And so you can talk to them about, you know, are they doing that to build and deploy their software? And that would be part of the CI/CD pipeline. Security. I know that sometimes DevOps is part of, you know, the information security groups at different companies. So they're trying to make sure that, you know, vulnerability is being looked at, penetration testing, what are the access controls that are in place so that people can get what they need, but don't get what they shouldn't have or don't need, right? So they're responsible for that too. This is a good one here. So teamwork. How, are the DevOps groups working with the dev teams to, again, have that cyclical back and forth relationship? DevOps is relying on the development teams to provide typically what they need for a smooth release. And if that's not provided, the release might go a little bit sideways, and then, you know, people have long weekends. So it's good to have that relationship with the devs and make sure that the DevOps groups are getting what they need. So you can talk to them about that, how that's going. And it kind of falls into this one here, special instructions. So sometimes if a particular thing needs to be in a release, making sure that that's being provided on a regular basis somehow for each release, so that, you know, the DevOps folks aren't spending weekends trying to fix a release when something was missed that they weren't provided. Michelle, what feedback do you have? What have you seen in your experiences with working with a DevOps team? Does this resonate? And is there anything to add here?
All of that does. And I also have seen where DevOps person is embedded in the dev team. But sometimes, especially when they have special projects, you know, to make things easier and get quicker turnaround. But sometimes that DevOps work can really pile up. And we have to wait a long time, like for a new server build or something like that. So I've seen DevOps incorporated into the dev teams, and even sometimes architects. Architects more of a, you know, not there every day, maybe every week or twice a week. But I've seen DevOps in the teams like every day embedded in.
That's great. That's a good approach to have those cross-functional teams. I think it speeds things up.
Hey, Scott, do you include like customer service in your DevOps?
Customer service, like
operations kind of thing.
Yeah, like a ticketing system where people put in, like a service request. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
and there's more DevOps here.
Okay, you got more. What do you got more? Let me see what you got more on the DevOps.
Let me see.
Show your cards.
Here we go. Here's the card.
There we go.
So for the DevOps engineers, also another group in DevOps you can speak with. I mentioned infrastructure previously. You can talk to them about that. I mentioned continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline. How much of that is automated? You can talk to them about that. Risk and downtime. And here's the, like I was talking about before, rollbacks of releases, blue-green deployments, etc. Trying to avoid rollbacks and making sure everybody's communicating. The monitoring tools we talked about regarding how the infrastructure is performing and how apps are performing and addressing those. And then security measures. And I mentioned some of these before, penetration testing, vulnerability scanning. So Greg, it looks like I might need to add the service desk queue for issues, because DevOps groups can definitely, you know.
Well, that was the original. That's always my debate. That's the original philosophy behind DevOps, and everyone does it CI/CD, but DevOps is development and operations.
Yeah,
coming together, right? And just one example, I had a group where the operation team had to do a bunch of stuff, but the dev team had built a little button on their code to recycle or recache or whatever they had to do with the accounts. And I had mentioned as a Scrum Master to the operations group, could you use that reset button? Oh, you're like, yeah, we would love to have that reset button, you know? And it was just that conversation between the dev and the operations people to allow them to make the operations people's job a lot easier too. And vice versa, like setting up a system where the lessons learned from operations can get back into the development side, right? For stories and things like that to improve the overall process.
Those are great points, Greg. Thank you for those. All right, so it's time to move on to the developer team, the team of developers. Discussion topics with development management. So, you know, this is more around planning, I think. So project timelines, how team members are allocated across the teams and the company, and how is communication with those teams and team members. What's team engagement and motivation look like? Are they, are they collaborating well together? If not, why? And that's perhaps something you could help them manage or work with them. Conflict could also be talked about, how that's handled. If you're an agile shop, talking to the management team about that, what's their thought about it? Do their teams understand what to do? And is there an opportunity there for you to work with them to increase knowledge around agile approaches? One of my favorite topics, technical debt. Is it tracked and is it managed? Is it actually acted upon? And what are the steps in place to try to avoid technical debt with the teams? Someone mentioned metrics earlier, velocity, defects, many others. Most likely, I just put a couple of examples there that you could talk to the development management team about. And training and career development for the team. Is there anything in place for the team to develop themselves? What's that look like? Is there a need for that in some way? And that really could be just something as simple as a center of excellence for development, any educational opportunity. All right. Developers. And some of the stuff you'll talk about in Scrum, but this, if you do meet with them individually one-on-one, sometimes there's more time to chat in depth about these things, in regards to their points of pain, roadblocks, any support they need, any challenges around the tools or architecture or code that they see. Is code quality what it should be? Are there training opportunities or issues? Are they contributing to a positive culture on the team? What are they doing? This may be something that they're not necessarily thinking about all the time. Some people may, but some people may not. So asking this question could bring some enlightenment there as to how they could foster that environment, a positive environment. Again, Agile, how is it working for them? Do they have any challenges? Are there any opportunities that you could take care of for them or educate them about? And I do ask about career goals and aspirations. I think that's it's good because you want to learn more about them as a person, what their goals are, but you can also probably support them in some way through regular follow-ups and that kind of thing. If they want to, have somebody follow up with them on a regular basis to keep them on track with their own goals, you could do that from a, Scrum Master Agile coaching perspective.
I just recently had someone who just finished their CSM training or got their certification. So they were asking me about what do I got to do to be a Scrum Master? So I gave some pointers what you can practice while you're in as a developer to get ready, even though you're not, quote, a Scrum Master, but you can gain and contribute like a Scrum Master would during the session.
Right. That's great. Okay, let's go to the benefits of talking to all these people about all of these topics, or even some of them. You might recognize this graphic here, if anybody can name that game. But benefits unlocked by talking to all these groups and asking them about some or all of those, topics. You're making sure everybody works together well, right, across the board. Yourself with those people, within teams, just trying to drive better outcomes for the product or service you're providing. You're also making sure that folks are aligned with the goals of the product manager, the product organization, the company, with the goals of the product. So everybody's on the same page with what they're trying to achieve. And it kind of moves into the next one too, making sure everybody's aligned with the goals of the organization, knowing where the organization wants to go. And the vision helps with knowing that helps kind of steer the teams and the SMRVs in that right direction and help them get there. It also helps deliver high quality products that are easy to deploy, right? Going back to DevOps. You can also learn more about your customers. So, Scrum Masters might not get an opportunity to get out there and talk to customers that often. So talking with, the product analysts and the product groups and others, even marketing and sales, perhaps, if you want to step outside of the SMRVs as I've identified them, could be good for the Scrum Master. Okay. More benefits. You can see how your company's value stream operates, right? Not only from the SMRV perspective, but just, I showed us very simple value stream earlier, but that can really be, and I'm sure people on this call have seen, like, it can really be blown out with a lot of different departments from customer request to customer fulfillment. And just learning about that will make you as a Scrum Master, I think, a better partner with everybody you work with. We talked about fostering collaboration, innovation, and goal completion. It also helps people be accountable for their work with clear goals. Folks can gain flexibility and responsiveness to client needs, other team needs, team members' needs. And everybody feels valued and appreciated. So I put leading to an increase in retention, but it's also an increase in morale. And maybe even finding out, if there are issues with morale, how can that be addressed? And finally, yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Well, do your final and I'll come back and I'll ask my question.
Last but not least, and I kind of alluded to it, you can just learn so much more about your company by talking to all these different groups and asking these questions, that again, you can just become this, kind of like almost like a super Scrum Master or super Agile coach, right? Where you have a knowledge about every part of your company and you become very valuable to your company. So, and it increases your knowledge and keeps things fresh and exciting for you too. So I think that's a huge benefit for the Scrum Master as well. Greg, go ahead.
With all these Smurfs running around, right? I just picture in my mind blue Smurfs. How do you avoid death by meeting? I don't know if you cover that in one of your slides or.
I don't cover death by meeting, but I can respond to that. So
that'd be cool. Appreciate that.
So
what techniques do you use, right?
Yeah. So I try to not overburden them with meetings. So, you got to figure out the cadence that works well for them and yourself. For my personal approach, I try to meet with everybody once a month and talk to them about any topics that are obviously hot at that time or any agenda they have. But I also have, a list of items that we also can touch upon and what's going on in those areas. If I'm not sure if it's valuable to meet every day.
Yeah. But what about the people outside what about the people like outside the development group? So
yeah,
I notice a tendency among a lot of Scrum Masters that decide they have to go to every meeting on the planet. And when you talk about DevOps people and customer marketing and all these people, they're like, oh, especially if you're doing safe, it's big time in safe.
Mhm.
They feel like they have to attend every tech meeting, and if you're looking up, like I worked with a very large group that had like 8 different trains, 40 teams. And sometimes the Scrum Masters felt like they had to attend every daily stand up or every stand up, and they're invited to every one of them. So what, any thoughts on that aspect of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes to down to prioritization. For the most, it's a couple of things. So the highest priority or the most needed projects probably could use the Scrum Master to learn more about it or be there to guide the team. But you could also do kind of you could implement my approach where you're catching up with folks once a month. And so you can stagger it a little bit, but you're still getting, if you have your topics that you want to talk to them about, you can still get caught up to speed. So you can kind of balance those very high priority or much needed teams that need you where you need to be there. Or, if you're not there in the Scrum, meet with them on a regular cadence, once a month, twice a month, whatever works for the group.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, we got about 10 more minutes.
All right, I can do it.
Okay,
All right,
cool.
so once you put all of that into place, if you remember my very simple SMRV diagram previously, where I said you are here above development, because folks may be only talking with the developers. If you're doing all these things that we just went through, or even some of them, you are now here, and the arrows are going in between each group because you're in there talking to everybody, and then you see these circular arrows here. You can get these teams talking with each other as well just by doing this, because you're going to start connecting the dots, right? Can anybody tell me why the "you are here" is so large, this dot? All right. Oh, Mariama, were you going to take a stab?
I was going to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to say you're the glue. However, you have a larger, it's almost like you're zooming out, if you will, to see the picture holistically. I mean, that's what it's come to mind.
Okay. Anyone else? Mariama's on the right track. I made that larger because, yeah, by speaking to all these different groups, DevOps, quality assurance, and having them speak to each other, you're building your relationship, your status in the company, the way you can partner. You're becoming like a larger, more important piece to the company because your knowledge is growing so much. So I made sure this is expanded here to show that growth you're getting by doing this.
That's good. I thought you were doing it just because my eyes are getting old. But no, that makes perfect sense.
All right, so we're getting towards the end here. So thinking about your own situations, let me get this out of the way. Here are the SMRVs we talked about. And I don't know if anybody's going to be able to do this. I was going to do a dot voting thing so we can try. But if not, we can just shout them out too. And thinking about what we've just talked about, what SMRVs would be most valuable for you to talk with tomorrow? Like, where can you start building those relationships to learn more about the company, learn more about where you could help out with those different items, build relationships? Let me see if I can set it up. SMRVs. All right, I'm going to try to set it up and see if it works.
And as we do this, and Scott's doing great because he's going through this. This is one of the reasons why we do this Meetup too. So if you want to do an interactive session, feel free to use the Meetup group as a practice group for running through it. Get a bunch of people together and setting that up too. Because there's always settings. I mean, you see me do the sound and the links and all that kind of stuff. So there's always cases where it makes your life fun. And every one of these apps are different. You may be doing Mural one day, Mural, whatever. The next time, or you're doing a Microsoft product, who knows, right?
Mural or Miro or
Miro, yeah.
It doesn't look like the voting's working. So does anybody want to volunteer who they think they might want to speak with in the future to build that relationship? And, you know, that could lend itself to, ooh, I see a raised hand.
Yeah, so I am interested in discussing the stakeholder relationship, that was the stakeholder engagement, but I don't have a topic or idea in mind specifically. But
were you did you want to provide something about like the stakeholder relationship, or did you have a question about that?
No, in the future, talk about. I hope I got the question right. Was it? Were you asking about a mural board?
Yes.
Okay. I thought that because we are running out of time, I thought that there is going to be a leftover topic that you would like to cover on the relationship management. So sorry, I misunderstood.
No, that's okay. I was asking.
He has a Q&A at the end too.
Yeah,
so
yeah. I was asking on this slide, like of the SMRVs that we covered, who would be most valuable for you to talk to in the near term? That was the question for the group. Mariama, you had your hand up?
Yes, it would be the product manager.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. And why do you say that?
Just to get it, to learn more about the product itself and the vision and the focus.
Okay.
Beside the product owner.
All right. Anyone else?
I would even take it to line managers too, but they're not on your list.
I can always include them, you know.
Okay.
SMRV plus.
I was going to say both what Mariama and Greg said. So from the product manager to get more information on the product itself, and then for the manager of the developers, which we call them the engineering manager.
Okay.
Them. Because
awesome.
I notice sometimes I'm seeing that the product owner, which we work really closely with, is reporting in to the engineering manager. Yeah, so that can make a difference.
Okay.
Which is weird, I know, but.
All right. Okay, communication tips. You guys know these already, I'm sure. Listen actively, be open to feedback, work collaboratively with the SMRVs when you're speaking with them. Set up time on their calendar if they are amenable to that. That's how I approach it typically. There's no secret potion to doing that. I just ask them if we can set up time to talk about certain things, and normally it's a yes. So take that advice as you will.
Yeah, one thing on that with the calendars, just my own little trick is that my SMRVs that I know that I want to talk to, I actually stalk them in Outlook. I have their calendars in there. So before I even go ask them, so I already kind of know when they're available when I go ask the question.
Nice.
So I set it up. I look at my calendar, their calendar, kind of like, hey, I see Tuesday, you got a half hour. Is this something we could do, but I just look at that because if you ask the question, their calendar is totally booked. it just frustrates them. So I try to get that, or I'll say, hey, I see your calendar's like really full. Do you want to, I'll let you know, you want to pick a time and set up a meeting, what's convenient to you. And then I'll hand it off to them to do that too. So just a little calendar trick that I have that I use.
Nice. Nice, nice. And I forgot to mention the benefits when you're when you're speaking with the SMRVs. You know, what outcome do you want to get from it? Make sure they will benefit from it as well. That'll be an
Yeah,
easier
and get
sell.
an agenda or
Yeah.
see, what you might want to talk about, what they want to talk about. Oh, definitely.
All right, we're at the end. We made it.
There you go.
Q&A time.
And anybody on social media, sorry for any technical difficulties, because it was kind of interesting for a while there.
I just want to say thank you, guys. Hope to see you again. I have to run. I actually have to go grab a birthday gift before the store's closed.
Oh, go to the
Perfect
store.
gift. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank
Thanks,
you.
Michelle. Anybody have any extra questions for Scott or the activity? I know you brought up stakeholders.
Thank you for the hand clap, Mariama. Appreciated. This is my first time through this presentation, so thanks for sticking with me.
Yeah, one thing about stakeholders in this SMRVS is sometimes people can create barriers between you and the stakeholders. And it takes a while to break those barriers down because they're protective, right? Of their domain. So even though you might want to have a conversation with them, they may have, why are you asking? And they get really defensively questions and things like that. So it may, I would also advise team up too. So like if you want to meet with stakeholders, inquire with the product owner how they might want to handle that, or a product manager, right? And say, hey, well, we can do it together. Can I join you in a conversation? See how they do things and things like that too. So don't hesitate, that you don't have to be by yourself.
Good advice.
So,
Hi, this is Moma. This is my first time joining
hey,
the
welcome.
meeting. Thank you. I think I should turn my camera. Yeah, this is my first time. Thank you so much. Scott, I couldn't tell that this was your first time running through the slides. So.
Oh, thank you. That's good to know. Thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it.
No worries. It was great. So I am actually new to Scrum, so I'm not practicing as yet, but I'm very interested. So I was going through Meetup to see anything specific to Scrum Masters, and I came across this presentation today, and I quickly joined it. So this is good information for someone who's transitioning from 14 years of program management into Scrum.
Okay.
Definitely an interesting field. So I look forward to joining more of your talks.
Great.
Great.
Thank you for attending.
And if you ever want to talk about your transition from project management to Scrum, we can do something with that too. And
yes,
then not to plug the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum show, but there is a LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook podcast that will include this when I download it. So I'll make it into a podcast for people too. And I'll double check to see how the social media version showed up, because I think I lost sound there for a little bit. So I might repost it.
Okay.
So we got a lot of stuff out there, and ask questions on the Meetup page too. So if you have a question, comment, or a topic that you're interested in, let us know.
Yes, and I'm also open to mentorship. So looking for mentors, anyone who's available, I am open. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Awesome. Anything else for tonight? Or today, wherever you are?
Just a warning though, if I was your mentor, I would get you to do a presentation online. Not that I did that to Scott as we talked about it. He's like, I want this goal. I'm like, well, you know what? Let's practice. Let's get you up there.
Yes, I
know?
do not mind. In my current role, I do a lot of presentations, so
Okay.
I'm open to transferring my skills anytime. So
Okay, good.
Awesome.
thanks.
Uma, let's connect on LinkedIn.
Sure, let's do that. Thank you.
That's a good point. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you want to connect. Be glad to do that.
Will do. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg, for the great presentation. Very informative. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. It was a lot of different takes of what a Scrum Master should expand their vision and their Smurfs, right?
Yep.
And yeah, so I think that was good. That was a good way of saying, hey, it's not just the team and it's not just this little world. It's a lot of different things. So I think a lot of new Scrum Masters would benefit from watching your presentation and listen to what you had to say too.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
All right, then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.